Hello everyone, my name is The Fox. This is going to be my review on the 8Bitdo gamepad, the SF30 Pro. It's a Super Nintendo clone Bluetooth gamepad controller that is obviously heavily modified, as it has dual analog sticks that are clickable, also has L3 and R3, as well as 4 shoulder buttons on the top. You can see right there it does support a USB-C charging and is also the method for updating the firmware. Thankfully, it is already up to date with the versions that I got. Very quickly, I'd like to say thank you very much to GearBest for sending this out to me. Without GearBest, I wouldn't be able to do the reviews that I do, so I wouldn't be able to afford it otherwise. So very quickly, let's take a look on the inside. This is the shell that holds it all together. Here is the documentation, which is one page. Obviously, there's many languages. And then here is the flat USB-C cable that they provide. Well, let me put the instructions back. We'll put this all back together. Put this on the side. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at the 8Bitdo gamepad itself. So I've been using it for about a week now, and it is an excellent controller. You can see right in there that they actually even mirrored the types of security screw bits that hold the controller together. These are not analog, these are digital L2, R2, but they do feel very nice. They kind of cut fingers very well so that they act as trigger buttons. Additionally, you can see these two buttons right here. This button, when not used on the Switch, will act as, if you hold it down, it will activate a turbo button for that button. I don't really use turbo, so it's not really for me, but I do think that people would find that useful. So for those people, that is good. Otherwise, in Switch mode, they actually act as these buttons right here. So take a picture and the home button, which is very important as a Switch controller. So the 8Bitdo gamepad supports Windows, Switch, Android, Raspberry Pi, and Mac OS. It's a lot of platforms and a lot of operating systems that it does support, which is excellent. We're going to be taking a look in this review at the Switch and Windows side of things. I have not tested on Raspberry Pi or Android. These are the two important platforms for me. With regard to the Switch, I do have a Pro controller. I don't see any visible differences between them in terms of use. They feel exactly the same. Again, the firmware was already up to date when I got this, so input latency was not there for me. It operates exactly as a Pro controller does. The only difference being that the Pro controller has an NFC chip on the right analog stick, so you can use Amiibo. On the 8Bitdo, it does not support that, so if that's a deal breaker for you, I don't think it is, especially because it's $30 cheaper and smaller and just as good as the Pro controller in my views, especially that it supports way more platforms than OS. It's actually a much bigger value in my regard. So the Super Nintendo controller itself, now that we've taken a look at all that there is to it, right? I've purchased other Super Nintendo controllers because I wanted to buy them for emulation purposes, and this is the cheapo kind that you see all the time on eBay for like $4. These are junk, just absolute junk. I don't recommend them at all. Don't get that. If you wanted a slightly better wired one, these are the iBuffalo ones. This is about $20 and it feels pretty good and it works as expected. If you wanted a wired Super Nintendo controller, I can recommend this. However, if you want a very good Super Nintendo controller, honestly, the 8Bitdo gamepad D-pad is superior than that iBuffalo one. It also has dual analog sticks, 4 trigger buttons, so not only it's about $20 more expensive on GearBest as opposed to the iBuffalo one, but it is Bluetooth wireless and it works on more platforms and it has more features. All around, just a better value in my opinion, that if you were just going to spend $20, I would highly recommend to just put up $20 more to get something like this, as it's really nice. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look and see how it works on the Switch itself. So you're going to want to power this on. Now, because I have very bright lights, you can see that that's going. And we'll go ahead and you just press start to reinitialize it. In the instructions, it shows you want to hold start and Y for Switch, start and X for Windows, start and A for Mac. It tells you in the instructions. So very quickly, you can see that this works just fine. Additionally, motion control works. So one thing that would be necessary when doing these things is quite necessary. Additionally, when you do that, there is rumble on here. So this has rumble as well. So as a general default third-party controller that has a lot of features that you want from a modern controller, this has it all, and it's very much recommended. Additionally, if we press this, we can see that snapshot does take, and if we press this, it does operate the home screen. So really, really nice. Everything works nice. D-pad is nice. Everything is super nice about this, especially as a Switch controller. So if you didn't want to pay the $70 for the Pro controller, you didn't want to pay $60 or whatever for the Joy-Cons, totally recommend this if you're looking for additional Switch controllers. Absolute excellent value. Additionally, as you can see right here, it's on, but as soon as we push this to sleep, it goes right to sleep as well. Perfect. Unbelievably great for Switch. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Windows side of things. Okay, for those of you that have been following my channel, you're aware that I have the Win 2, and I've gone ahead and connected this, so we'll go ahead and start this up. You'll see that's blinking. We'll wait for it to connect. There it goes. It rumbles that it connected. Everything's fine here. We'll go ahead and launch Higan, which is a very accurate Super Nintendo emulator for Windows. And one of the things that I would like to show here, not Famicom. Apologies. No. What about that? Yeah, we'll full screen that. We'll put this down. So a few things that we're showing here. Number one, that the GP2 Win is more than capable of running Higan at 60 frames per second, exactly what we need to run Super Nintendo games on a handheld, which is probably the first handheld that can run Higan perfectly. But one of the things that I want to test here, this D-pad is amazing. It's really good. So you can see right here, I am holding down the Y button, we're moving and jumping. So one of the tests that I always like to do, especially for Mega Man X, is the ability to hold many keys and operate many keys at once, like N key rollover that is present on keyboards and quite necessary a lot of times for action games, action platformers. The slowdown that you're seeing is actually exactly how the Super Nintendo would respond. As you can see on the top left that we're running at full frame rate, even though there is some slowdown. It's just, again, fully emulating the Super Nintendo exactly as the Super Nintendo would operate. So yeah, works perfect. I guess in instances like right there would be good for turbo function. Oh, I don't have my dash yet. But totally playable and very responsive. I can totally recommend this controller. Go ahead and close this down. Put that on the side. So yeah, it's an amazing controller. Really recommend it. They say 16 hours of playtime. I haven't been able to get up to that because I haven't, bothered to see if I could play that long. I've been just charging it up. It does last a long time in standby. 3 days went by and seemingly nothing happened to the battery. So it's kind of just pick up and play. Press start to start it up. So that's one thing you can see right here. We'll press start and you can see that the lights are blinking. Then if you hold it for 3 seconds, it'll turn off. And it did. If it doesn't turn off, you hold it for 7 seconds and that forcefully turns it off. Everything is explained in the one sheet that they provide to you, which I can show you right here. There we go. So they kind of just run through all of the basic stuff, and that's just general controller stuff. Here you can see press start to turn on controller, press and hold start for 3 seconds to turn off, 8 seconds, I'm sorry, to forcefully turn it off, connect to Switch, connect to Android, and that's basically hold start and press any of the front-facing buttons. You can see on Windows and pairing it if you need to connect via a USB controller. How to use the turbo functionality. I don't really care about that, but it is there. LED so you can kind of understand battery modes and all the other stuff. And then sleep states. And for firmware and stuff, basically this is the only sheet you need. Everything else is going to be in a different language. It's honestly a very good Super Nintendo controller. It is an excellent Switch controller. By far one of the best values that you can get as a third-party Switch controller. Normally third-party Switch controllers are junk. If you were looking for just a Super Nintendo controller, I can recommend it. If you were just looking for a controller that works on many platforms, I can recommend it. Honestly, the price is really good at $40. It's a bit high, but for all the stuff that it does, the value that it has, totally recommendable. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again to Gearbest for sending this out to me. Have a good one, guys.